You're listening to the Renegade Blitz, the best podcast for Steelers fans by Steelers fans. Follow us on Twitter at Renegade Blitz, at RBlitzPod, and at Blitz Videos. Read articles on RenegadeBlitz.com, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app.
And welcome back to the Renegade Blitz podcast. I'm Polk with Chris Ward. We're here to recap an exciting, thrilling 41-37 loss for the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Los Angeles Chargers. And man, if last week's Steelers-Lions game, a 19-19 tie, was football purgatory, then I'd have to believe this Steeler has to be football nirvana. Sans the loss, of course, for us. But guys, that was probably one of the better Sunday night games in history. I think I'm trying to think back of like the great Sunday night games, at least in recent history with the Steelers, and I can only think back to the immaculate, the reach. I can't really, the immaculate extension. Now that I finally got it in my head, that's the last like great Sunday night game I think of with the Steelers. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, it was an entertaining game. It ended up being a losing effort. 27 points in the fourth quarter. I mean, at one point there, everybody thought, people were tweeting at us to go to bed like it's over. And, man, the offense, also, the defense made a key stop there. That was later in the game, but they also had an interception and huge block punt there by Killebrew again. He also had one in week 1 against the Bills.
Yeah, Killebrew has been huge, and we'll talk more about that in terms of the Steelers' defensive alignment in the future with us. But I think the big story is the Steelers very nearly completed a 17-point comeback that would have snapped an 0 for 230 drought in the fourth quarter, being down 17 points or more. The closest was a 15-point comeback against the Washington football team in 1962. Big-time plays on defense. Cam Heyward's batted ball into the hands of Cam Sutton. Of course, that aforementioned Killebrew second punt block of the season that kept them in striking range. Overall, Chris, should we feel more confident about this team over the next few weeks, or are there more things we should worry about that are probably going to still doom them in the end?
I think there's some on defense. I know they didn't have Fitzpatrick, T.J. Watt, and also Joe Hayden. So, I mean, they were playing with guys that they just picked up. They were filling in. So, it was real tough to, especially going up against Herbert and that offense attack. But they're still having some issues. They gave up 229 yards rushing against the Lions the week before. And Herbert just went off running the ball. He had 90 yards rushing. I think 93 overall, but he had 3 negative runs at the end there due to the quarterback knee down. Yeah, when the game was over. But they couldn't contain Herbert. Just I don't know if what would you think that they didn't seem like they were really putting a spy on him there at any point really either.
I think they were more than willing to let. I've always felt that at least with mobile quarterbacks, at least outside the pocket, that's where the Steelers have their worse luck with them. And Herbert challenged them, and they had the opportunities. I feel that at the very least, Devin Bush could have been a reliable quarterback spot in that situation. There's not a lot that he can do right now as a defender at this moment, but I thought that at the very least, something that was a staple of mobile quarterbacks in the early 2000s, you think back to the days of Michael Vick, they always ran a spy. It might not have worked 60% of the time, but maybe that 40% is the difference between some of those first downs and potentially a victory for the Steelers. But you live and learn about that.
That was a heck of an effort there by Cameron Heyward to chase down Herbert on that 36-yard run. Heyward, man, he's just unbelievable. I keep on saying it, it's the best that I've ever seen him play in his career. And just the heart. Did you see the picture of him running after him? And there's 2 Steelers on the ground, with their heads down or something. Did you see that?
They're just lying out on the turf of SoFi Stadium, and that's just really the best thing that you could put with the Steelers right now. I mean, in terms of everything they're trying to do. It's really Cam Heyward at this point that is single-handedly, in a way, keeping that Steelers defense up, especially with no Watt, no Hayden, really no one on defense.
Yeah, just Heyward and like really a bunch of guys there on the defensive line. They're really missing Tuitt and Alulu, but just an incredible play. Like it's Heyward, like 300 pounds, like going down the field to chase down Herbert. But also I was going to say about the offense. You asked about that was an incredible performance by Ben, with the short, not practicing all week and coming off COVID. I mean, that was like the best game I've seen him all year. I mean, that was like vintage Ben there.
Yeah, you remember last year against the Bengals at home, he did a similar thing out there. That was arguably his best performance of the season. I'm always of a mind that I think that Ben could probably use a little bit more practice tact, but he goes and has games like that makes me go, shut up, I don't know any better at that point. I don't know what to say. I mean, I credit it to his preparation team, the team doctors, and everything, because the Post-Gazette had a great article. It was by Brian Backo talking about Roethlisberger's preparation for this week, ramping up during the week, and whatever it is, you can't deny the results at this moment. It really worked well for the Steelers, and it almost gave them the victory. And we're taking a look inside the private chat for Brandon right now, who's having a bit of technical difficulties right now. He can't exactly hear us, and with his internet and our new thing with Streamlabs, which we're always kind of trying to figure out how we can better serve you guys as a podcast and also as a blog as well. He talks about the Steelers blowing the game by giving up 533 yards and 33 first downs, and most times not even getting to third down, barely even making it the second. He talks about Devin Bush as a total waste of 2 draft picks, he says in the group chat. So harsh words. But if there's one thing, we were on Colorcast during this game. Brandon said that he came back from a 70-point deficit from his fantasy game just off of 2 Chargers players. And you can guess one of those Chargers players, Austin Eckler, who had 4 touchdowns and probably one of the great all-purpose performances by a running back in this league, or at least this season, just in production.
On NFL and their Twitter account, they tweeted that players with multiple touchdown reception and rushing touchdowns in the same game over the last 10 NFL seasons, and it was only Eckler to do that. So that was an incredible performance there by Eckler.
So that sorry. Well,
I was gonna say, it's hard to disagree with Brandon's point about Devin Bush, because they did trade up for him in the 2019 NFL draft. They drafted him at 10th overall, and he's just really struggling now. I know he's coming off an ACL injury, and his dad was on 93.7 The Fan this past week with Paul Zeiss. Was a really interesting interview. I don't know if you got a chance to listen to it, but he pointed to the fact that he's coming off an ACL injury and he's not really playing as fast as he normally would, which is understandable. That's a hard injury to come back from, but I mean, at some point he's got to at least make some plays, or at least he's really struggling to get off blocks right now. He's not doing well in coverage. He's really just not doing anything well right now. But what are your thoughts on Bush right now? He's the 10th, or you look at what Parsons is doing with the Cowboys. He was the 12th overall
Devin
pick.
White.
This past year's draft. So I don't know. It's at some point he's got to start making plays.
Between so much other linebackers out there that he's at least they're his contemporaries, or he was drafted alongside of, and he's not performing to that level that you expected, that he showed as a rookie. He showed last year before the knee injury, in which he had the sideline speed. And I think that really he was one of the big pieces, the glue pieces in terms of the Steelers defense getting off to that great start last year. I just don't know what's up right now. Is it between the years? Because at the very least, yes, there's yes, knee issues, but what about being able to tackle out there? And now it looks like we're gonna finally have Brandon Walker in on this stream, as he's now coming from his cell phone as he's trying to join us. And yeah, so we're gonna wait a second to see if Brandon can get on into us. And Brandon, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can. I can, brother. Sorry about that.
Yeah, we're trying to get everything together with this new initiative with StreamYards right now, and it's hit and miss right now, of course, but it's a lot of things, at least on my end, that we're trying to improve as well. So Chris is the only one that seems like he's got it down pat at this moment, but regardless, we did talk about a little bit of what you said in the private chat with us, and we want you to have your chance to elaborate a little bit more on that.
Well, if you get, the Steelers gave up 580 some odd yards.
533 total.
At least from what
Most
you
of
said.
them came on 25 of them came on second and third down. I mean, first and second down. The only way that the Chargers had got stopped in the first, 6-7 drives is if they got held to a field because they were holding penalties on offense. So
Yeah.
you see, because me and you, we color casted last night. I thank everybody for watching that. If you watch, I mean, not unless you listen to, but it's just a shame that. And I said Deontay Johnson was going to have a heck of a game. Claypool had a heck of a game, and I did say that I came back from a good 60-point deficit just off 2 players alone, and a little bit of help from Boswell. But yeah, that defensive split. I don't know how. So what were you guys talking about before?
We were just talking about Bush, but you're saying how he was a waste of 2 draft picks.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I posted on Twitter. I wrote a quick article about saying, is it time to classify Devin Bush as a bust? So I got some responses. Some people weren't too happy about it, which is understandable. Some people agreed. If you read the article, I kind of put it down we've seen late bloomers with guys like Bud Dupree, but things are looking really grim right now. And I just can't stress enough of that he was the 10th overall pick and that they traded up to get him. I mean, he's just not living up to those expectations right now. And did you guys listen to his dad's interview with Paul Zeiss on 93?
Oh yeah, I had it. Yeah, that was an interesting interview, and I kind of had you saw what happened. We're not gonna go there.
Yeah, don't.
Mr. Bush Sr. is still out here somewhere in the Twitter sphere right now, trying to see if anyone wants smoke out there. And while believe me, we would love to get the clout from that, but that would be all-time great podcasting if that were to happen. But
it was a good.
I mean,
towards the end, he just kept on telling Zeiss that he doesn't know anything about linebacker play and stuff, and it just it started to go off the rails there.
Yeah, as expected with anything that goes on there.
I'm gonna defend this. I'm gonna defend Daddy Bush. He did play in the NFL for a long time. A long time. He got a Super Bowl ring.
But yeah, I mean,
he has the credentials more than Zeiss, so I can't.
It was kind of odd though, because it's not often. I mean, I guess in today's era, you do see more parents like dads, like LeVar Ball, the Ball's dad and stuff, and OBJ's dad. So it's still kind of odd having your dad go on the fans a radio station in Pittsburgh and basically defend you. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Is that just kind of the new age and stuff?
Didn't we see a bunch of things with that with the Smith-Schusters and Mark Madden? There was so much other stuff going on. I mean, that's what it's going to be out there. I think anyone wouldn't like being dragged through the mud by at least not only a Twitter sphere, largely most of sports media and even Joe Schmoes like us basically. I don't think anyone wants to be dragged by anyone out there, especially when they're just trying to do their job to the best of their ability. But that's how it is.
There is a fine line. You don't want to disrespect it because, at the end of the day, it's just a game and they are doing their best and everything. But like Paul Zeiss's position, he's in the media and stuff, or anybody, a fan or anything, like they're going to voice their opinions. I mean, they're fans. These guys get paid millions of dollars. Most of them do. They're high-profile athletes. They have to take the criticism also. And I think Bush, he's been, highly regarded his entire life. He was a recruit from Michigan. He was first-round draft pick, obviously, 10th overall. I don't think he's used to being criticized, or maybe he hasn't really said anything publicly, but his dad is kind of upset. And I think you see that with athletes sometimes. Once they get to the pros and they're struggling at times, they don't take a criticism too well.
Whew, that was a mouthful. You know what? Yeah, it's tough to take criticism. This is the first time he probably ever has taken criticism.
To this degree, yeah, definitely.
To this degree.
Yeah.
However, you do get paid millions of dollars. All three of us don't make can't rub three nickels together. So why in God's name are you going out and worried about what we think? You make more money. You go sleep in a better bed than us. Wake up to a better looking woman. You can go anywhere you want. I'm serious. I'm not. Is there any lies told?
No.
All three of us would have wished. We are media members, but we are more fans than anything else. Bottom line. So we're fans. We have the right to our First Amendment speech. We could talk about a millionaire. What do they think? Why do you care? Why do you care what we think? Play better. If you play better, I'm like, look, Mr. Bush, your son sucks, buddy. He just sucks. His coverage sucks. His tackling ability sucks. He can't blitz, but maybe once or twice a year, except when it's wide open and it's obvious. Come on, man. Come on, Ty. Remember when what's his name? Allen drug him was it Allen or Williams? One of those receivers drug him 5 yards down the field. And I was like, yep, there go your boy. There go your boy. And he was like, oh, that's progress. There's progress. Small progress.
He made a tackle. I mean, you're just looking for any small victory you can get right now out of it. It's just like you're just hoping it builds towards something where it's back to maybe 2019 Bush never happens again. Maybe even early 2020 Bush never happens again. But you're just hoping to see something that resembles the player that you put all that capital into, that you build up as the next Ryan Shazier, or at least Shazier's apparent heir, I guess, for lack of a better term. But these things happen. It's up to him to see how much he can bounce back, because he's had some good moments this season, but largely it's been covered by a lot of bad as well. And that's very tough for him to be out of the sub linebacker packages. I mean, he's got a guy that just came off the bench in Schobert, and effectively his replacement last year, who, in terms of pass coverage, I don't know if he's much better, but at least if he's there, he's gonna make the tackle.
Yes. That guy knows his assignments. Spillane. Talk about his talent all you want. This guy doesn't even know his assignments. He's like, look at Lost out there while Eckler runs into the end zone. Whiff it. Come on.
All right, so let's go and let's now get into a little bit of our talking here, because we spent 20 minutes talking about Devin Bush. So
it was needed though.
It was needed. It was needed, but we got to move on. We're trying to catch a deadline here, folks.
Yeah,
but Ben Roethlisberger, we kicked off the show talking a little bit about it. It was one of his best performances of the season. 28 of 44, 273, 3 touchdown performance. And his last few games, you're looking up at him. He's got 9 touchdowns and no interceptions, over 1,000 yards passing. I mean, that's not a guy who's exactly dead in the water. It's not maybe the Ben that the Steelers probably want and need right now, but still, it's good enough to allow them to at least have a fighting chance. And I think that's all the Steelers wanted in the end. So people get mad about that 4th and 32 or 3rd and 32 throw to Claypool, but I think at that point it's kind of just like you're just going out there hoping for a miracle in that situation. You can't really do much about that. I had confidence in Ben that as long as the line held up and not got blown to shreds by Joey Bosa, he could have at least had a fighting chance to complete that comeback one more time. But, guys, I want to get your takes on this.
Go ahead, Brandon.
All right. I've been a Ben basher for the past couple months, so I got to give him credit. Is he past his prime? Yes. Do I still – I may have, written him off dead. Yes. I underrated him. He's still a serviceable quarterback. You still got Aaron Rodgers is maybe a year younger than him.
Few years younger.
Yeah, a couple years younger than him. And you got who else? Oh, I mean, if Brady can go at 44, which he's going tonight, he could go at 39. You know what? This might be sacrilegious for what I'm about to say. Being a but
wait a minute, you're about to convince yourself to say that you want to see Ben in a age 40 season.
What's your better option? What is your better? I didn't want to come around to saying this.
I knew you were going there.
I knew exactly where that was going.
Because I've seen other people. I've seen other people go there also.
I know.
I'll have to see, because this was the first game that I've seen Ben play this year where I was like, okay, this guy, he's playing at a high level. Maybe he could play past this year. Yeah. Let's see how the rest of the season goes.
Yeah, we'll see that. I'll convince that. I'll concede that.
Because I was on the same thing with you, Brandon. I wasn't really thinking he should have been benched when you wrote that article about saying that. But I was very close to it. I was like, this isn't good right now. He's not looking good at all. I think he was dealing with, he was really affected by that hip injury, I think. And I think now that he's healthy and stuff, obviously he doesn't have the mobility like he once did. He's not the same Ben that we're used to, but he looked really good yesterday. I have to give him credit.
He did. He looked real good. Just
there's Deontay Johnson, your guy Deontay Johnson. Like you mentioned, when he has his head in the game and everything, he's a really good receiver. His route running is just truly unbelievable.
Yeah, he is. I was impressed. I was always impressed. I was like, why can't he do this every week? If he does it every week, Claypool. He had a nice one too.
Some people say that Claypool hasn't done a good job with getting contested catches this year, but I'll have to look back at that one. It looked like Samuels might have broke that pass up, but I don't know if you guys saw that. What do you think about that?
Samuels broke that up.
Did he break it up? Okay, yeah. I seen some people on Twitter talking about it, and I didn't really get a good, clear angle at it watching the game live, but the Chargers defense isn't that bad. We had Gilbert on here last week, and he was mentioning that their secondary is kind of off and on, but early in the season they were really playing at a high level. They got some good guys there. I wish the Steelers would have ran the ball a little bit better. That was one disappointing thing because the Chargers had the worst ranked run defense, but and they had a bunch of backup defensive linemen in. But we could also talk about that, how the offensive line is just so off and on this year. Kendrick Green got pushed back early in the game there, and then as Ty mentioned, they fell apart there at the end.
Yeah, hey, try getting a number 2 running back. Their receivers have more. I bet you, if we go through the stats, I bet you Claypool probably has more carries than Benny Snell, or Johnson has more carries than Benny Snell this year.
Were we talking about it on Coachcast?
Chris, go to the stat book and go to the season stats. See how many break down the rushing carries besides Najee Harris.
Yeah,
which is 12 carries. I know they fell behind, but you still gotta establish that running game that works.
The way they use
that helps your line.
The way that they use their wide receivers, I said this in the color cast, they're better off just going into the flex phone. I mean, literally, if you're just going to use your wide receivers for end arounds all day, why don't you just run the flex phone and call it a day? Like, if you're going to go wild, then go bananas, man. That's the one thing I want to say. But also, Brandon, we mentioned this on the color cast. The one thing that the Steelers have always done with their second running backs, yeah, they'll draft the first running back, no doubt. But the second running back, they bought it somewhere.
Like I told you, like I mentioned the guy that they had, Deuce Staley.
Yeah.
They had Mewelde Moore.
Najee Davenport.
D'Angelo Williams, who was a little bit past his prime, but is still second good running back behind Le'Veon. He held it down when Le'Veon got busted for weed and stuff like that.
Benny Snell Jr., he's second on the team in carries with 13, and Claypool has 8 this year.
I was close.
Yeah, you were close.
That's still really close. That's still not good.
That's not good that a receiver is your third best carry guy.
Yeah, I don't know.
What's their yards per carry? I want to know what their yards per carry, Chris. Tell me what their yards per carry.
Claypool's got to have more.
Claypool has 6.5 average, and then Benny Snell Jr. is 2.9.
Oh, my God.
That is pathetic.
I know that it's a good idea to use your wide receivers in a motion game whenever you have when you barely have a number 3 running back to keep it a buck. I don't know what to say about this, but I'm not really surprised that the stats are showing that Claypool is the third leading rusher in terms of carries on this team.
Yeah.
Who has the second most rushing yards? Would that be Claypool?
Yards? Yes, Claypool with 52. Benny Snell Jr. is third, 38. McFarland has only 1 attempt for 1 yard. He's been a healthy scratch the last 3 games, which is really surprising because they were pretty high on him coming out of Maryland. I think I mentioned this on the last podcast, how Tomlin, like all his Maryland draft picks have not worked out. And some people
need to stop going to Maryland.
Some people have been really criticizing Matt Canada too because that's also a Maryland connection. And I'm sure we'll talk about that too with that red zone play calling with Canada.
Yeah, that effectively lost the Steelers the game when you really think of it.
Yeah, they could score a touchdown there. They ended up getting no points there.
They almost blew that one with Killebrew as well.
What?
Yeah,
yes.
Right.
The Chargers bailed them out.
They finally handed the ball off to Harris after they got that defensive pass interference.
Yeah, they put they put out their fullback and said, jump over the pile. And he did exactly that.
So what do you guys think?
I know that the entire team is predicated off of not Najee Harris, and they don't want to put him in every single situation. But there's just some situations where you just have to go Neanderthal dumb and just give the ball and say, you know what? I think that my offensive line can get 1 yard to walk into the end zone.
Yeah.
So what do you think the reason for Canada, like, for whatever reason, like the last 2 games when they get on the 5-yard line, like he doesn't want to hand the ball off to Najee Harris? Do you think he's trying to be like he's overthinking things and trying to
be too cute?
Trying to be cute. Oh, do you think that's Canada or do you think that's Roethlisberger though?
I think it's Canada. I think he's the one that's playing.
Canada's the one that's put. You think back to the Eagles game with Claypool going off for 4 touchdowns. One of the touchdowns, an end around reverse.
Oh yeah.
What do you want to? And when did this start becoming a Steelers thing? When Matt Canada came in as the quarterbacks coach, you got a little bit of cachet for those play calls with Fichtner. So when you look at it and when you see that it's more prevalent than it was the year before, you go, that's a Matt Canada thing. And I'm not going to sit there and bash him because if it works, I'm going to shut up. I said it about the tight end screen, the Fryer move last night. I was going, what are you doing? Never mind, it worked. That's fine. If it works, I'll be quiet about it. But it's not necessarily working the way that he thinks it is. And it's fine to have these like jet motions that are just like a simple power row or a dive concept to Harris or something like that. And then occasionally you give it off to the wide receiver. But at the 5, everyone's going to be stacked there. What do you want to do? You don't want to see the old school reverse like we did in the game with Los Angeles. I think if you remember that, Brandon.
Oh, yeah, the old school reverse. I have not seen that type of reverse since 2004. I'm serious.
Like the super old school reverse, like, you've seen it in Madden where it's basically a halfback toss and then he hands it off to the wide receiver and they go the other way. That's the old school reverse. These days, it's all jet sweeps. They freed up the motion rule, so that's what they're going with. Yeah. You don't see it like that.
Damn, man, I was like, wow, that's something.
Now the sequence you mentioned when they turned the ball over on downs there on the goal line. What did you guys think about? Like, they had the ball on the 2-yard line. They threw a fade pass to Claypool, which is kind of like that's not a good high percentage play. And then they did that shovel pass to Freiermuth that the Chargers sniffed out, and then they stopped him, and that was turnover downs. What do you think about those 2 play calls there? If they thought they were in 4 down territory, why didn't they just hand the ball off to Harris there on 3rd and goal?
I don't know. They got too cute. They got too cute. They need to. How often does Derek Watt play fullback? I think he should be more in the.
Not often at all.
They underutilize it.
Considering all that talk about using him as an H-back situation, especially when, at least at the moment, the tight end situation for the Steelers were dire and we didn't know anything about Rader or Gentry or anything like that, I'm really surprised that hasn't come to root.
Yeah, and then they blew an opportunity there after the turnover on downs in the 4th quarter when the Steelers stopped the Chargers on the 4th and 1. They had great field position. They only had the ball for like 19 seconds. They went 3 and out, and then they kicked the field goal with Boswell to take the lead, but that didn't last long because Herbert had that 53-yard game-winning touchdown to Mike Williams. What did you guys think about that sequence there with Canada? They couldn't even get a first down there. They couldn't even waste some clock there. They kind of blew an opportunity there, or they did blow an opportunity there.
They did. Oh, it was a smart play. It was what, 8th? Yeah. It was, what is it? They just, how many times they threw the ball? They threw the ball twice on that play, on that drive, did they not?
Yeah, I'm looking at the sequence.
I'm thinking it was twice.
Wait, can you remind me what drive this was?
It was the drive when they got stopped on 4th down. When the Steelers stopped them on 4th down, and the Steelers had an easy field goal opportunity. They went 3 and out and got a field goal.
Chargers. Yeah.
Man, this play calling is just, I don't know. It's just a little bit suspect.
I mean, if it works, you're fine with it, but it's not working. That's the one thing. All right, so now.
Yeah, you're right. They threw it 3 straight times after that.
3 straight?
Yeah.
I thought they gave it to Najee at least once.
That's what I thought.
How many times did Ben throw the ball like yesterday? Give me a zap. I'm on my phone.
What? How many times Najee ran the ball? You're looking for that. It's 12, but it looks like we lost Brandon once again. I want to take this opportunity.
Okay, I'm back. All right, he threw the ball 44 times, and Najee Harris had the ball 12 times. Against the worst run defense in the league, playing a lot of their backups.
Yeah, you think that the entire Chargers defense, especially their run defense, was stout. They just didn't really use their running back a lot in that situation. And I think it comes down to it again. They need to find a second running back. Because a second running back actually helps them if they still want to go reverse happy with the jet sweeps.
Yeah.
There's so much that they need to fix in the offseason. offensively that can at least solve so much of what they want to do in play calling. It's just endless on what could be fixed if they just do these few things.
Number one, hold on. I think the number one problem is Canada. You see the talent there. You got, I said, if his head's in the game, Deontay's a top 5 receiver. You got Claypool, who could be a Pro Bowler. You got Freiermuth, who's going to be a superstar in this. Yeah, I'm going to be bold and say it. Now, I'm all in on him. You got Najee Harris. Your line's improving. You might want to get rid of Trey Turner. He's a little washed.
The whole offensive line hasn't been like, even when they try to run the ball against the Chargers, they weren't getting that many yards.
I just said, hey, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? I looked at a stat from The Athletic. Guess who's like a top 10 pass blocking tackle in the NFL? He's a number 10. Chewy.
Oh, Chooks Okorafor. Hey, he did have a big block there on that Freiermuth touchdown, so I have to give him credit.
He's not as bad as everybody wants to think he is. I guess
probably more they were dealing with the left guard, Joe Hag, he was the one that allowed those 2 sacks there at the end of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like third string.
He got blown up. They put him in at left guard, and they just said, Brandon Staley just said, cool.
Yeah.
Hey, Joey, line up at defensive tackle. Oh, he just blew right through him.
Yeah, I mean, Hasenauer
the water
got injured.
Turnstile City.
Yeah, that was bad.
Hasenauer got injured and was out for the game. He was the backup to Kevin Dotson, who was out. So, I mean, that's basically like your third string guard.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's hard to really, of course he's going to
Hank was brought in as a utility guy, so you can't really say much else about that. I mean, what else can you really say? It was just an all-time bad ending to this game for the offensive line.
Yeah,
a game that was just really, really could have been competitive for all intents and purposes. Was competitive throughout that fourth quarter once the Steelers started going. So now let's move on to one thing that I want to talk about, because basically with the Steelers defense now being bereft, I don't know how to pronounce that word, of talent. You have to ask this. Now that he has a second punt block on the season, has Miles Killebrew earned at least a conversation about maybe getting a few defensive snaps out there? There was a ton of connections to him. I mean, Terrell Austin, the defensive backs coach for the Steelers, he was the D coordinator and at his first stop in Detroit, and that's where he got most of his run as a defensive regular for the Lions. It's clear that he's making some plays out there that have changed the game. So, again, is he worthy of at least a discussion out there? Because we hyped up Carl Joseph a ton during the offseason, then he decided to go to Vegas, and then that didn't work out for him. Then he made the practice squad, and now he's here because, of course, Minka was out. So the question is, should they at least see what they have in that guy?
Good question. Is he a free or strong?
He's a safety linebacker hybrid.
I would give him a shot. He's better than your boy. You can't do any worse than him.
Yeah, maybe it's something they have to look into.
You're calling him my boy whenever you know that I like Michigan State.
They were missing Fitzpatrick yesterday, and PFF, like we mentioned all year, they like to get on Fitzpatrick, but they really missed him yesterday.
Oh, they did.
I don't know what you guys think on that.
Let me actually amend that thought first, so that we can move on quickly into that. And we all know about how much the Steelers were missing on defense. So I'll ask you right now, out of T.J. Watt, Joe Hayden, Minka Fitzpatrick, Stephon Tuitt, and Tyson Alulu, who is the one player that, when you think about this game, sticks out in your mind the most that could have played the biggest role in the outcome of that game?
Watt.
Well, I know that one was going to be Watt, but I was wanting to see what was the other guy.
Yeah, I was just saying, obviously, why? I mean, he's one of the best players in the league, defensive players in the league.
Yeah, when you look at Bosa basically blowing it up just like he did against Seattle, of course. But also, I was hoping that one of you guys would say it was Minkah Fitzpatrick, who I think in this game, especially with that last touchdown, I think that kind of showed his worth in terms of how that, yes, has the top been blown off the Steelers with a little bit more regularity than we'd like over the last 2 or so years? Yes. But it's clear that he cleaned up a lot of the messes back there more often than not, especially with this game.
Well, he would have been on.
Who do you think?
It would have been Edmonds, wasn't he? Didn't he burn Edmonds?
No, he burned Norwood.
I think it was on Norwood.
It was on Norwood, but
he had a good season, but it's like they were trying to test him out at slot corner and a bunch of other things. I mean, so there's a lot going on.
All right, I say, like I said, I told you, Joy Hayden's a little bit older. Minkah Fitzpatrick has not played up to snuff this year, up to his standard. Tuitt's injured. Alualu hurt. I would say if you want to have somebody besides him that you would miss, I would say Tuitt.
Yeah, they're definitely missing Tuitt there on the defensive line.
Maybe he allows those linebackers, especially Highsmith, to get back into Herbert's face with a little bit more regularity.
Yeah.
I mean, besides Heyward and Sutton actually played a pretty good game yesterday. You know, had the interception. He had a game high 10 total tackles. Mm-hmm. I don't really know. Like, I'm pretty sure, like you guys mentioned, that was on Norwood. What was that, cover 2 defense, I guess? And he didn't get over there in time. It was like a whole shot there by.
It was a whole busted coverage.
Basically, Pierre passed him off, and Norwood wasn't ready. It looked like that's what it looked like.
Yeah, and Pierre, he had that bad missed tackle there on Eckler. Evans also had a missed tackle there on that catch and run touchdown he had. So he definitely missed all 3. Hayden, Fitzpatrick, and Watt, the 3 guys that were
41 points, 580 some odd yards.
Yeah, that's the second most yards allowed during the Tomlin era. Do you know which game's number 1?
I'm going to guess one of the Patriot games.
Yeah, it was 2013. That was number 1. They gave up. It was over 600 yards, I know.
Well, everyone gets smacked up by the Patriots, especially in that era, so you can't really say much about that. But let's talk about the proprietors to that smacked up night by the Steelers defense, and it was Justin Herbert who was on fire in every way possible. 30 for 41, 382, 3 touchdowns, and then he decided to pull it on the ground for 9 carries for 90 yards just for a little appetizer. But of course, the one guy we want to talk about the most, and I know that Brandon wants to talk about the most because the entire color cast night, he talked about that fantasy team like it was his bread and butter. Austin Eckler, an all-purpose monster, 17 total touches, and he amassed 115 yards and 4 touchdowns. You mentioned that stat about how he's the only player in the last 10 years that had multiple rushing touchdowns and multiple receiving touchdowns in a game. So it's clear. I think when you just there's a certain part of you where you just go, that can't happen again. That won't happen again, right?
No, but I not only had Eckler, I had Herbert too.
Oh, wow.
This man's just in fantasy football nirvana right now. His family league is getting crushed up. I'm dropping F-bombs in the color cast. His aunt's in there. She's probably already mad that he's beating up on him, and that just didn't help.
Well,
no, I'm beating up my brother. I played my brother in fantasy.
How many points did Herbert get you?
He got me at least 40-something. I had to give you an exact number. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me see.
I mean, Herbert was just like I tweeted during the game, like the Steelers, not until like late in the game, they weren't getting any pressure on But for a while there, it was like he was playing 7-on-7 football. He
Yes, it was.
really comfortable there in the pocket.
Yeah, I felt like I was back in Conshohocken watching Joey Daniels about Lebanon light him up, or Ty McGowan for Moon. It felt like, or Devin Whitlock out there running around. It wasn't a night that you want to ever see again out there.
Yeah. Okay. For the record, Justin Herbert got me 34 points. Austin Eckler got me 41.
So 75 fantasy points between two players.
Yeah. And I was going to bench him for Rod. Oh, and I had Rodgers as a backup too. And he did pretty good too.
Yeah,
So basically, you just had the pick of the litter.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. And I'm still thrashing my brother right now. This is getting because I have Leonard Fournette and Chris Godwin right now. They're still playing.
And that was my first chance. Like, I've seen Herbert play before, but that was my first like real good look at him. And I think he's the real deal. Like, the real deal. Some of the throws, like his arm strength, just really incredible. And we always go back to it on here. Quarterback mobility is just the way the league's going, and that you see that with Herbert.
He's big and fast, and he has a Steel Valley connection. That's going to win him a lot of games in this league.
Yeah, what was that? I tweeted that. What happened?
Apparently, it shocked a lot of the Steel Valley contingent that I'm friends with and that I follow around there. He was the winner of the 2019 William V. Campbell Academic Heisman. So he has a Steel Valley connection. That's kind of amazing in its own right.
Okay, I got it. So who was that? Steel Valley?
Yeah, he's basically from the old high schools, the Mud Hall or Homestead High School. I can't remember off the top of my head. But basically, he's got his name on the athletic field. About a year after he died, they had a nice gift to renovate the football stadium and all that stuff. So the Campbells, of course, Campbell was a part of Apple as well. So we're an Apple distinguished school, and he's basically one of the big Apple guys alongside Jobs.
So I guess the last thing maybe to talk about is what you guys think about towards the end of the game. There were some controversial hits, or the Cam Heyward situation where it looked like he shoved or punched or whatever you want to call it to Justin Herbert there after that long run.
I didn't even see that.
I did. He hit him. It was just a little nudge. You could have called it. If it was probably a running back, they probably not would call it. If you're gonna hit quarterback, they're gonna protect their own every single time. I'm impressed that he chased them 30 yards down the field.
Yeah,
no one's talking about that.
That's like everyone kind of mentions it in the background of like, did you see how much heart Cam Heyward had? And that was also where he did that hit. I was wondering.
I was like, because that's what I was like.
Where it came from. I was like, wait, what was dirty about that? I can
tell you one thing: Charger fans are not happy on Twitter right now. And even some media members, they were saying that they thought Heyward should.
Yeah, we have one Charger fan that I went to high school with. He's not happy about it either.
Yeah, they were saying, and we know the type of person Heyward. He's not a dirty. I don't really know. I know he mentioned after the game that it was nothing malicious. He said he was trying to get up from him and stuff, and he fell or slipped or something like that. But Herbert, he had no issue with it too. He didn't take offense to it. I know he talked to the media after the game about it.
Yeah.
It ends well.
Yeah, and then the other controversial hit. Did you see that Kaiser White hit on Najee Harris?
Yeah.
You mean that the phenomenal four?
Yeah.
You could also talk about that hit on Cam Sutton after the interception.
Yeah,
I mean, there was a lot of things that went down in this game, but luckily everyone's walking away seemingly okay. So I guess you'll just, especially after the week that the Steelers had with how much they've missed, I think you'll consider it a win.
Yeah. We'll take it. And
I also wanted to talk about this. We talked about Devin Bush Sr. What about Sam Highsmith, Alex Highsmith's dad? He was getting turned up in the crowd when Alex had his 1.5 sacks, 2 sacks you want to be technical about him as well. I mean, he's one of the names that kind of went a little bit quiet.
Yeah, I saw that. My dad's a great follow there. He's always tweeting some entertaining things. He goes to all the games. But Highsmith played pretty well.
Yes.
It seemed like he had more success there on that the Chargers' right side of the offensive line because, as you know, when we had Gilbert on, their right side is not nearly as good as their left side. Slater's pretty good there for tackle. Just imagine if T.J. Watt was playing there against Norton on that right side.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out Warren Sapp for hyping up Cam Heyward for this game because they needed every single bit of it. So I never doubted you, Warren, but don't speak bad on Cam Heyward's name ever. But it looks like I'm sitting around here. It looks like we have no questions from the viewers, so I guess we'll have our final things to wrap up here. And I wanted to talk about this because it's big news. Guys, the USFL is back, and so is the Pittsburgh Maulers. Let's go. Let's go. This is a Maulers podcast now.
Yeah, that was a pretty big news there this morning. I saw Colin Cowherd was talking about it. He was talking about are those all the original 8 teams?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The USFL
Breakers.
So that's
the Philadelphia Stars. The Philadelphia Stars won 2 championships in the USFL.
So is that going to start this spring?
I didn't exactly get most of the information. I was just excited about seeing the old purple and orange on there. There's a lot of people out there that want it to be black and gold, and I'm just like,
no,
don't do that.
The New Jersey Generals, the Houston Gamblers,
Donald Trump's team, the Generals.
So do you think they'll play at Highmark Stadium, or where do you think they'll play?
Probably something, but rest assured, now that I actually have broadcasting credits, I'm certainly going to try my best to see if I can get a job out there, and you guys should be too. We could do a Maulers only podcast as well.
Why not?
Why not, man? We'll even cover the Maulers on here too as well. You guys down?
Down.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we'll be the aficionados of Pittsburgh Maulers football, and that'll get us in there. But of course, there's also one more thing to talk about. It is Thanksgiving.
Are you on, Brady?
Yo, calm down over there. I know you're favorite player.
I guess he's thankful for his fantasy team. Or Austin Eckler and Justin Herbert. I know who he's thankful for.
This is not the fact that. No, don't give these idiots a chance to win. No.
Oh my goodness. I'm looking over there now.
No.
You see it over in the top corner of me right there, but I can.
Sorry.
Oh my goodness, man. But yeah, so there's a lot to be thankful for us on the Renegade Blitz. We're now year 2, and it looks like we're not going to have like 15 million podcasts during Thanksgiving week like last year because, COVID-19. So I'm thankful for that. And guys, what are you thankful about?
I'm thankful that I have the opportunity to spread my word and platform being on here, honestly. Because I didn't know, because I thought me and Chris's podcast was dead, but thanks to you, Ty, we elevated it.
Yeah, I'm thankful for this podcast and everybody that helps with the website and also the Twitter account. Shout out to Zach too. And Ty and Brandon, you guys all have done a great job. It's year 2 doing this, so it's been a really good journey so far.
Yeah, I've enjoyed every step of the way for it. So that's all for us for the recap podcast of Steelers versus Chargers. And coming up next is the Cincinnati Bengals. The Steelers will go on the road there. We'll have someone out there, hopefully, that covers the Cincinnati Bengals via blogs. Who knows? Maybe even a play-by-play announcer, reporter. Who knows? We'll see what we can get there. But for now, for Chris Ward and Brandon Walker, I'm Ty Polk. Thank you for tuning in to the Renegade Blitz.
Thank you for listening to the Renegade Blitz podcast. Follow us on Twitter @Renegade Blitz. at @RBlitzPod, and @BlitzVideos. Read articles on RenegadeBlitz.com. Like us on Facebook and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app. The Renegade Blitz podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and wherever else you can listen to podcasts.